Right, so I made this reel on Instagram about how the Dunbar number gets in the way of these multinational corporations trying to get people to belong. I don't think, everybody tries to subscribe to some or the other institution, often forgetting that great minds built those institutions. It's not that the institutions just flourished on their own. And that there was inherently something specific about them that led them to be great. You could say that the great people were the reason that great institutions flourished. But I think nowadays it's like nobody thinks that a person is great in society, like in interpersonal relationships. People seem to attach some kind of value to you that is completely independent of your personality and is more dependent on whether or not you're a part of a great institution, like working at like an investment bank or, being like a top scholar in academia. You get the picture, right? And I think the problem with that is, or rather, not the problem. I mean, that is a direct consequence of people building organizations which are completely detached from the social fabric of humanity, right? So the Dunbar number that I've been referring to is basically the maximum number of meaningful social connections that you can have at any given point in time. I think it's around 150, meaning that as a person, I can feel connected to at most 150 people at a time. So when people see multinational corporations, they're not seeing the people who work in them. They're just seeing like this entity which comprises of many, many thousands of workers or employees, and what's missing is that sense of connection that, okay, I belong in this tribe. Humans, as social animals, we need to feel connected to the people that we work with. When civilizations like the one that we live in today did not exist, like for example, during the period of when tribes existed, when tribes were not as interconnected as today, they didn't have like a work-life balance separation. Sure, they might have had like a work-life separation in terms of time, but overall, they just worked with the people that were their community, right? And I think the way that our species has grown or has evolved or has been the fittest in terms of survival of the fittest, I think our survival depended on being connected to the local tribe. And I think a key reason for depression in today's day and age, depression or anxiety or both, is the fact that we're not able to work with the people that we naturally like and they naturally like us back. I mean, you can have like today's world, in today's world, people are split from each other, split apart from each other on the basis of the ideologies that they hold, the opinions that they hold. In the Stone Age, let's say, right? We didn't have that privilege. We were like, yeah, okay, I know this guy since birth, and he's my friend because we hunt together, we eat together, we protect the tribe together. So there was a lot of room to disagree with each other, but still have a certain kind of love to each other, right? Which just doesn't exist today anymore. Because like when you're working, the entire thing about work is that you're working for this particular entity, and it's more likely than not that you're not actually bonding with the people who work, in proximity to you. It's probably like you're competing with each other to get a promotion in that particular organization, and it's like a ladder that doesn't actually lead anywhere. It's just you're trying to get to a higher position with more pay and more work in most cases. And so the point I'm trying to bring out is that work doesn't feel meaningful anymore because we're working for organizations that only stand in its rhetoric. They don't stand for an actual social community in which you can perform not perform exactly, in which you don't need to perform work, and in which you can just do work and be connected to other people. And obviously this is not the case in the creative arts. The creative arts is actually, because the entire thing in creative arts is about the emotion, people tend to bond each other far better, in a far better way than they would in a commercial, multinational corporation of sorts. And yeah, it's like multinational corporations might have like a high level of abstraction trust with other organizations, but as an individual, as a human being, you don't feel connected to them, to people of the other organization. It's so fragmented. And I think I'm failing to be able to describe the exact thing, but I'm just going to go back and quote the Dunbar number, which is like at a moment in time you can have the limit of the number of connections, the number of meaningful connections you can have is 150. And so I think in the modern day age, everyone is like extremely disconnected from a purpose of what they, a sense of purpose in their lives, and work doesn't give them that. And so I'm remembering this example of Mike Bloomberg when I think he was out of college and he was looking for his first job in New York, and he interviewed at Salomon Brothers and at Goldman Sachs, and Goldman Sachs were like, they were giving him a higher salary than Salomon Brothers were, but he still chose Salomon Brothers, and he cited the reason that Salomon Brothers, the hiring person, he was like one of the top guys in Salomon Brothers, and he said to Mike that, okay, we don't know what you're good at, so we can't give you a job description as such. Come over and we'll see what your interests are, what our interests are, and where your brilliance can be used to contribute to this organization. So that really gives you, and he chose Salomon Brothers specifically because of that, and because Goldman Sachs' job description was just, it was fixed. Like, we're paying you this much amount of money to do exactly this kind of work. And he said that, the ability to be free from just, being a cog in a machine is what attracted him to Salomon Brothers, which I don't think we have anymore. I mean, you look at interviews these days in corporates, they're more like rejection interviews where the person that you're talking to is so adversarial. They're not looking to work with you. They're trying to test, do you break down under pressure? And I'm like, that's such a weird thing. Like why would you want to do that? And I don't think this is the healthiest thing on the planet right now, in the sense that people are going to have mental breakdowns because of this. I mean, it's, it is going to lead to a big mental health crisis. Probably already is, because you've seen, that there have been people unaliving themselves in India specifically. I mean, probably happening in the States and the UK and Europe as well. But India has seen, a rising number of unalivings, to self-unaliving, to be able to say that no, corporate work culture isn't toxic. It is. It clearly is.